NASCAR's governance faces an unprecedented test as a recent court ruling shakes the foundation of its charter system. At the center of the controversy are 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports, whose legal battle against the sanctioning body has sparked debates over authority, fairness, and the future of the sport. The implications of this case reach far beyond the courtroom, threatening to reshape the dynamics of NASCAR's competitive and operational landscape. The recent decision by Judge Kenneth Bell to force NASCAR to recognize 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports as chartered teams in 2025, despite their refusal to sign the 2025 charter agreement, is a potentially disastrous outcome for NASCAR. This decision undermines the governing body's authority, jeopardizes the integrity of the sport's charter system, and creates a precarious legal and operational precedent. At the heart of NASCAR's operational structure is the charter system, designed to ensure stability and long-term planning for teams and the sanctioning body. By compelling NASCAR to approve the transfer of charters from Stewart-Haas Racing to 2311 and Front Row, the court has effectively overridden NASCAR's contractual framework and governance. This sets a dangerous precedent, signaling that legal challenges can usurp NASCAR's ability to enforce agreements and manage team participation. The court's ruling rewards 2311 and Front Row despite their explicit refusal to agree to the terms of the 2025 charter agreement, including the goodwill provision. This clause is vital to NASCAR's business model as it protects against anti-competitive claims while offering financial benefits to charter holders. Allowing teams to selectively benefit from charter terms they find favorable while rejecting others undermines the very foundation of the system and incentivizes similar behavior from other teams in the future. NASCAR's financial ecosystem is built around ensuring that only chartered teams receive guaranteed entry into races and significant monetary payouts. By forcing NASCAR to treat 2311 and Front Row as chartered teams, the court has created an uneven playing field, unfairly penalizing teams that complied with the charter agreement. Moreover, NASCAR is now compelled to disclose sensitive financial and operational information to teams that are actively suing the sanctioning body, an untenable situation that could erode trust and weaken the sport's governance. The timing of the court's decision further compounds the issue. NASCAR argues that the ruling forces them into a long-term contractual relationship with teams under terms they explicitly rejected. Undoing these forced charter transfers, should NASCAR win its appeal, would be a logistical nightmare with irreparable consequences for the sport's stability. Furthermore, NASCAR claims it was denied the opportunity to properly present its arguments before the injunction was granted, highlighting procedural issues that could have far-reaching implications. The ruling places NASCAR in a position where it must allow 2311 and Front Row guaranteed entry into every race without adhering to the financial commitments and obligations required of other charter holders. This diminishes the competitive integrity of the Cup Series, as it prioritizes legal maneuvering over adherence to established rules. It also risks alienating teams that have invested in good faith, potentially destabilizing the sport at its highest level. Judge Bell's decision poses a significant threat to NASCAR's ability to govern effectively. By undermining its charter system, forcing disclosure of confidential information, and rewarding teams that refuse to comply with contractual terms, the ruling destabilizes the sport's operational foundation. If this precedent stands, it could embolden further challenges to NASCAR's authority, paving the way for legal chaos and weakening the sport's competitive structure. NASCAR's appeal to the 4th District Court of Appeals will be critical, not just to resolve this specific issue, but to preserve the integrity and future viability of its governance model. NASCAR's resistance to allowing 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports to enter the 2025 season as chartered teams is rooted in several concerns that go beyond the immediate implications of the court's decision. These issues encompass financial, operational, and structural challenges that could have lasting consequences for the sport's governance and competitive balance. Here's why NASCAR is pushing back against this ruling. The foundation of NASCAR's charter system relies on clear agreements between teams and the sanctioning body. For 2025 and beyond, NASCAR introduced updated charter terms requiring teams to release NASCAR from antitrust claims and comply with specific operational conditions. By circumventing these terms through legal action, 2311 and FRM undermine the integrity of the system. Allowing them to enter as chartered teams without adhering to these agreements could encourage other teams to challenge the rules, potentially destabilizing the charter system. NASCAR sees this as a threat to its ability to enforce contracts and maintain a unified governance structure. Chartered teams receive substantial financial benefits, including guaranteed payouts from prize money, TV revenue, and other revenue-sharing mechanisms. NASCAR argues that 2311 in FRM, by not signing the 2025 charter agreement, should not be entitled to these benefits. Allowing them to reap the rewards without fulfilling the same obligations as other chartered teams creates an unfair competitive advantage and sets a dangerous precedent. Additionally, NASCAR highlights the goodwill provision in the charter agreement, which includes a clause preventing teams from suing the sanctioning body. Since 2311 and FRM are actively challenging NASCAR's practices, granting them financial benefits while they continue their lawsuit is seen as contradictory and undermining the principle of the charter system. NASCAR has expressed significant apprehension about sharing sensitive information with 2311 and FRM, particularly because these teams are actively engaged in a legal battle against the organization. Chartered teams have access to proprietary data and details about NASCAR's financial and operational structures, which could potentially be leveraged in the antitrust lawsuit. NASCAR views this as a risk that could compromise its position both legally and competitively. The court's decision, if left unchallenged, sets a legal precedent that teams can use to bypass NASCAR's established rules and regulations. This opens the door for other teams to litigate their way into favorable positions, weakening NASCAR's authority as the sport's governing body. The sanctioning body fears that this could lead to an erosion of its ability to manage the sport effectively and maintain competitive balance. NASCAR argues that once the charters are transferred to 2311 and FRM, undoing this decision would be practically impossible, even if NASCAR wins its appeal. Charters are long-term assets tied to financial benefits and competitive guarantees. Granting these assets to teams that have not met the required conditions creates a situation where NASCAR would be locked into an undesirable relationship for several years, potentially up to 14 years, based on the charter term duration. By granting 2311 and FRM chartered status, NASCAR risks alienating other teams that adhere to the established rules and conditions. Teams that sign the 2025 charter agreement may feel that their compliance with NASCAR's terms is being devalued if other teams can gain the same benefits without adhering to those terms. This perception of inequity could lead to broader discontent among teams and disrupt the collaborative relationship necessary for the sport's growth. Chartered teams have a significant advantage over open teams, including guaranteed race entries and greater financial stability. Allowing 2311 and FRM to operate as chartered teams without fulfilling the same obligations as others could skew the competitive landscape. NASCAR wants to ensure a level playing field, and bending the rules for two teams threatens that balance. Finally, NASCAR sees this decision as an infringement on its autonomy to govern the sport. For decades, NASCAR has been the ultimate authority in decision-making, setting the rules and enforcing them uniformly. The court's intervention disrupts this dynamic and challenges NASCAR's ability to manage its own affairs without external interference. The sanctioning body views this as a direct threat to its authority and long-term control over the sport. NASCAR's opposition to 2311 Racing and FRM entering the 2025 season as chartered teams stems from a combination of practical, financial, and philosophical concerns. The sanctioning body fears that allowing this decision to stand would weaken its authority, create financial inequities, and set a precedent for future legal challenges. NASCAR's pushback is not just about the immediate implications of the ruling, but also about preserving the integrity and sustainability of the sport's governance model.